Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens.
Merry Christmas and welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum Podcast Festivus series. All month long, we're celebrating your favorite holiday films. Movies like Black Christmas, the 2019 remake, Silent Night, the Silent Night Deadly Night remake, Jack Frost, the Shannon Elizabeth version, and more. Tune in all December long as we revisit these Christmas classics. Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum Podcast. I'm Ryan from coldsploitation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
And again, we are recording remotely. Neither of us are together at this time, practicing safe social distancing. As we should, as we do in all things, especially sexual encounters as well, practicing it safe. This episode kicks off our Festivus series for 2020, so we're celebrating Christmas time. Yay!
Year 5. I'm wearing my Bill's ugly Christmas sweater right now.
Oh, very nice. You know what? It's the perfect day to kick this off too, because it snowed here today. Got a little bit of accumulation.
Dusting.
That's right. So put me in the Christmas spirit, put me in the mood. Got our Christmas tree up, got our Christmas lights on. We're in the mood.
The Bills are 8-3. It's a good time. Good time to be a New Yorker.
You know it's not a good time? The film that we watched today.
Oh, don't say that.
I won't say it like that. I shouldn't say that it wasn't a good time. I don't want to put the expectations that low already. But I will say that for our first experience with the last film in the Silent Night, Deadly Night franchise, it was a real bummer.
Did this not get a wide release?
It did not. I don't believe that it got a theatrical release or anything like that. It was a low budget movie, so I think it was direct to video, and whatever that means in the 20 teens, because direct to video at this point is, could be anything. Doesn't necessarily mean back in the day when it would go straight to VHS or DVD.
What's that? Direct to video?
What are those
Low
things?
budget? You smell that? Smells like a Malcolm McDowell.
That's
affair.
right. Yes, that's right. So obviously we're talking about Silent Night from 2012, the very loose remake of the original Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Are you sure this isn't called My Bloody Valentine with a Flamethrower?
Could be that. It could be called that. It could be a different take on Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Saw,
but with Santa.
Yeah, Santa Saw.
Santa Saw. That would have been a good name for it.
It didn't get a wide release or anything. Yet, this is during the heyday of the slasher remakes. In My Bloody Valentine, got a pretty big remake. So what's up with this? What's this film's excuse?
Well, I mean, at the time when this film released, I do recall there being some fanfare of its release. Maybe that was more so in horror circles and horror sites and things like that.
That'd just be you guys.
Yeah, you're saying that for the layman person who's not fully entrenched in horror stuff, it didn't really make the circulation.
No, because this is not something that was on my radar.
Did you even know about it until I mentioned it, that there was the remake that we needed to do?
I knew after we did the third film there was, because I looked up and saw there was a remake, but
yeah,
did the nice eye roll and be like, "Oh, we'll cross that bridge another day."
We'll have to do it at some point, just like we've done most of the other remakes.
And to be fair, too, if I haven't listened to our podcast from the original, but if I remember correctly, now that's been 6 years, not a film that I particularly enjoyed or really have liked at all, but it has grown very fondly in my heart. as I say, every year now. I remember it very fondly now. I got great nostalgia for that film.
You're saying that the original Silent Night, Deadly Night didn't really have, you didn't really enjoy it?
No, I remember when we watched it. I remember. I mean, it's hard to think about, but I mean,
I can't really.
I remember when I
watched
it. I feel like I liked Warm Side of the Door. I liked the montage. I liked the boobies, and that was about it.
I think you were lukewarm on it.
Indifferent.
And you can't be lukewarm in a winter movie.
But now, as we've gone through the entire franchise, boy, it makes me yearn for those days.
When you actually had like somewhat of a quality film.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, this film's actually a quality made film.
Sure. Especially for its budget as well.
You know, unlike The Toy Maker, this is actually a quality made film. But there's nothing here.
Yeah. I think we'll get to all that in just a little bit. But first, do you want to take a break and talk about what we have on the show for beer, even though technically we're not drinking it together. We're not having the same beer this time.
Yeah, so we can have, because I don't know what you're drinking. I told you what I'm having today, but I don't know what you're having, so we can kind of you get a twofer here.
Yeah, well, go ahead and start it off with what you've got.
So I got today, when I went down to our local beverage store, I was looking around. I was probably going to get a 15-pack of Sloop's Juice Bomb, which we've had on here before. Very famous, especially in New York, IPA purveyor, basically, because that's basically all they do now is IPAs. But the Juice Bomb is like one of their flagships. We've had it on the podcast before, very good. And I was just kind of thinking of mixing it up because I'm getting tired of the old Miller and Blue Light. So I was going to get that, grab a 15-pack of it because they just stocked up at our beverage center. But when I was walking around, one of the things that first caught my eye when I was there is that Founders, another brewery that we have had several times on this podcast, has a new 15-pack out. And it is their Moon Rambler IPA. And I'll take a sip of that right now. Delicious.
Yeah, give it a taste.
Basically,
taste it for me in spirit.
It's they say on it's an India Pale Ale, but brewed with milk sugar. I don't really know what milk sugar is. I don't know if that's just a fancy way of saying it's kind of supposed to be like creamy and have lactose in it, like a milkshake IPA. Not really sure. And what the hell was the third one? Hop. It's compared to the Cascade and the Mosaic because it's not as florally. It does have a tropicalness to it, but it's very much like just a hard-hitting orange. A very bitter orange. But it also does have like a little bit of a creaminess, a slight creaminess to it because of the milk sugar. I wouldn't say anything overwhelming. Yeah, it's unique. I'll give it that. I like it. It's growing on me. I'm now on number 2.
Nice. I'll have to check it out. I've had I think pretty much every 15-pack that's been widely available from Founders. So
yeah,
I will have to.
There's a lot to process with, like the flavor profile, because it's got the lactose, it's got the tropical, it's got the hops, a little bit of an oatiness to it. So, but like I said, I would whether you like that style or not, I would say check it out just because, like I said, Founders is incredibly consistent and make nothing but I have not had yet to have a beer from them that I've disliked or even been indifferent on. So I would definitely say give it a try.
Absolutely. So I've got a slightly different beer on today from an IPA. Certainly not the same at all. I've had this before, but Tree. And Beer Tree has notably come around this area as being one of the quality producers of especially IPAs, but in general, good beer. So I grabbed the Finding Bigfoot, which is a Russian Imperial Stout, which I thought was really interesting because, for one thing, not many breweries label their beers as Russian stouts. It's just not a common turn of phrase for them. And then not only that, but the Finding Bigfoot can in general it stuck out to me, especially because it actually is using an interesting Friday the 13th style font on it, which I found. Ooh. Yeah, because and I know this from experience because I've used this font previously, so it stuck out to me in that sense. So I have had, this is my fourth one now. It comes in a 4-pack. I've had all 4, but I have to say that I really like this stout. It's very smooth, creamy. Definitely a dark,
kind of rare for an imperial stout. Usually, most imperial stouts I've had, which is not something I've really, or I should say, we have really had since like 8 years ago at our first beer fest, where they were just everywhere. Very much more alcohol heavy and malt heavy than like in that creaminess, or in smoothness. Smoothness definitely gets lost.
Well, this is it's still alcohol-y at 9%, but I would say that the flavor does the alcohol-y like, but not overwhelmingly alcohol-y on the back end or unpalatable once you get to the that back end sip.
Hey,
not
Ryan.
too bad, not too awful for buying stouts.
Hey, stop for a second. You cut out.
Okay. Roasty, toasty flavored, well-made beer that could be worse from a stout perspective.
Usually it's like $20 for a 4-pack.
Yeah, it's not
a brewer around here who's definitely their distributing is definitely getting a lot better now.
Sure how much
we went to quite like wide variety of their selection. So
yeah, I'm not sure if it is so much that it's getting widely distributed or if it's that our local beverage center is really trying hard to get them.
They're selling out, so that's a good thing.
Right.
Yeah. Because they post like, hey, beer tree delivery, and they take a picture of the van and everything, and then before you know it, poof, gone.
Yeah, so I assume people are getting excited when they see that post.
What were your thoughts before we go into the podcast? Because we're probably not going to have it. What were your thoughts on Genesee saying they were are finishing up their orders for their blood orange cranberry cranberry, right? Blood orange cranberry cream ale?
Yep. Yeah, I definitely am interested in that. I am very upset that it's not widely distributed. I need it.
Sounds so delightful.
Yeah, they always have the best flavors at the brewery itself.
It almost makes me want to go down, grab that, and get the Rice Spice Old Ale, which will be terrible. Not because it's made poorly, just because it's an old ale. But get that too, just because, like, while I'm here, why not?
Why not get them all? Yeah, I do. Sometimes I am a little bit upset that we don't live closer to Rochester because of that. Most other things in Rochester I could do without, but the Jenny Brewery is not one of them.
What's wrong with Rochester?
Yeah, I could think of a couple things.
Kodak's there. You got garbage plates. Garbage plates are delicious. What's wrong with garbage plates?
I don't know about garbage plates.
Do you know what a garbage plate is?
Yes, and I don't think it sounds very good.
You don't like hamburger, hot dog, and like mac salad, just and home fries being all like on the same plate?
No.
Crammed together, and then what's wrong with you?
No, I don't. I can't say that I do.
You got the Rochester Rhinos minor league soccer team there.
That'd be fun.
I've been to a game. It's definitely a fun time. Stadium's really nice.
All right, let's get into.
Listen, it's not all GE and Schenectady out here, okay?
Sure. All right, so let's get into Silent Night from 2012, directed by Stephen C. Miller, starring. Should we say Malcolm McDowell was starring? I mean, in my eyes, he is. Technically, he's not, but he's first billed, and he is also.
No, it's starring
main event.
No, it's starring Jamie King.
I don't think that's fair to Malcolm McDowell, who puts in 75 of more work than everybody else.
That's not true.
Who would you say?
He's not putting any work in. He's there reading cards and just being an asshole.
I love it, though, because I feel like this is a film that he's having either a lot of fun on or having zero fun on.
No,
and just wants to get it done as fast as possible.
I feel like, no, it's a pay me scenario. He's just there for the paycheck. Because it's basically like, hey, remember how you made Dr. Loomis, a beloved character, a total douchebag asshole? Just be a douchebag asshole as this small county sheriff in Wisconsin.
Yeah. Midwestern town.
Vote for James Cooper, sheriff from England, to be Crier County's sheriff.
I don't know, though. I mean, in some ways, I've always felt like Malcolm McDowell didn't do it for the paycheck, but he just did it for the love of cinema and art.
No, I agree. He's definitely
he likes being entrenched in the in the cinema world.
More like, I would say so, like more than like, Patrick Stewart or I'm drawing a blank on his goddamn name, but the guy that played like Magneto, Ian
McKellen.
Yes, I couldn't think of the last name, but they're like thespians.
I think they're all of the same
ilk. Like
right,
Shakespearean trained actors who just do it for. I think of Malcolm McDowell in that light too. So I really don't think he's here just for the pay me, because I really do think he really does. Because obviously, because he's done so many compared to those guys, he's done so many lowbrow roles that he's obviously doing it for the love of acting and like the just being able to do it. But it does but his effort in this does come across as like, You're just fucking doing it for a paycheck. I'm not
I
saying.
I still think he's the most watchable, for sure, in this movie. He's definitely the best part of it.
How dare you? Donald Logue is an American treasure.
Why Grounded for Life?
Exactly.
Yes. Donald Logue is also here for some reason. His character is not entirely.
You could say that about a lot of people. Like, again, Malcolm McDowell's here. You got Jamie King. Again, which that rings to why this is like a My Bloody Valentine ripoff. Donald Logue, Ellen Wong. It's just kind of like a who's who of like Lisa Marie, who's who of like Canadian. Are they A-list or B-list? Who knows? You'll find out.
I was actually surprised to see the number of people that are in this film of note, basically. I should say,
film?
Rob Reiner is in the film as Jamie King's father, and we should preface that by saying it's
David Crosby is also in this film.
We should preface that by saying that they're not really in the film, but they've gotten basically doppelgangers of those people.
Canadian versions.
I mean, to be honest with you, I am surprised at some of the names on here. But again, like you were saying, are they B-list? Are they C-list? Yes, in some ways, but also they're like at the top of the B-list. I wouldn't say Donald Logue is actually,
No, by this time, Ground for Life's been done for, I'm pretty sure, a couple of years. It's on like 02 to like 06.
But he was just starting Gotham, I believe. Maybe not yet.
2012? Gotham's been around for that long?
It was out for like 5 or 6 seasons, so yeah, maybe not 2012 yet, but around there.
Well, Ellen Wong's coming fresh off of, Scott Pilgrim.
Yep. Jamie King had been in some roles at that point as well. Yeah, My Bloody Valentine being the one that you had mentioned as this film is basically somewhat aping off of.
That somewhat is. Totally.
Yeah. And so it is surprising to see
Lisa Marie, she's just, I had no idea she was married to Tim Burton.
Yeah, it's surprising, to be honest with you. I definitely was surprised and to see the names on here, especially for such a low budget film, and especially for such a basically a niche type of movie as well of remaking Silent Night, Deadly Night, which like I was saying, it is popular with horror crowd, but maybe not so much literally anyone outside of that. Unless maybe you're just calling for various Christmas films that you haven't seen yet, then you might check out Silent Night, Deadly Night. Or if you're a religious zealot from living through the 80s, you might remember it for being a controversy.
How dare Santa run around with an axe?
Exactly, with naked women.
It isn't, like I said, because I understand the zeitgeist for Silent Night, Deadly Night within slasher horror film fans, but it's definitely like 2/3 of the way down on that totem pole of slasher films. That's why you got Friday the 13th and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and all that crap remade before you got to this. But even still, the fact that it got remade is kind of astounding. In a way, My Bloody Valentine being remade is kind of astounding because that is also a niche slasher film.
Yeah. And I mean, even so, like, I guess if you're looking for Christmas movies to remake, you've already got Black Christmas by this point. So what's the other one? Silent Night, Deadly Night.
I know, but at that point, you might as well just be like, all right. You did the one.
So what do you think?
You did the one. John Saxon's not there.
Yeah. So like, let's say, what do you think? Is Silent Night, Deadly Night lovingly remade here as Silent Night?
No, it's literally Saw meets My Bloody Valentine with a Santa. That's it.
I mean, you can see the reverence to the original, because it's not like they don't make reference to various elements of the original. Stephen C. Miller obviously seems like he is a fan of the original film, but at the same time, it loses all of the
charm.
The charm and the feel of that film entirely.
Because it's too, like I said, it's too busy too busy, like a lot of films during this time period, trying to be gritty and grounded. You know, you got to be like the fucking Dark Knight. Everyone loves that. It's got to be.
Assume when you reference Saw that you mean the opening sequence of this movie.
Yes,
because that is like
the
straight out of
the green tint.
The green tint, the like opening the door to a person that's trapped.
The whole cop aspect where we're following, a cop. So it's kind of like, could it be Danny Glover? Could it be, one of the Wahlbergs? That's the fun. Who knows? It's because even though I don't feel like the original film is a good film, like I said, I do have nostalgia for it. The reason why I have nostalgia for it is because it's campy and goofy as shit. This film, by being we're trying to be super serial guys, it totally misses the point. Because it strays like so far from like the original idea. It's like this is just a pointless effort. Because again, okay, they changed a whole bunch of plot points, and like I said, what do you get? It's basically My Bloody Valentine and Saw. That's all it is.
Yeah,
and a lot duller than the other two. At least My Bloody Valentine 3D had the 3D here. Hell, you had the one shot with the fucking axe getting thrown at the Achilles, where it made it look like they were going to do a 3D shot, and they're like, "Oh wait, we have no money, can't do that."
Yeah, I would say that I think part of the issue with Silent Night is it doesn't really have its own identity. It doesn't really know what to do with the disparate pieces that it's got going on. So it has that Saw element because that's what was popular at the time. And it has some of the modern day remake slasher elements that we see from My Bloody Valentine and Halloween. And, basically, for those, refer back to our Remake a Ween podcast episodes where we talk about the inherent issues in all of those remakes, trying to basically mimic a film done in the 80s and update it for a new generation. So Silent Night has all of those issues. It's got an identity crisis, just like its a protagonist or antagonist Santa killer. It's I would say that the film itself is messy, and I can see, like you were saying, it's actually fairly well constructed especially for its budget. It's not one of those really low budget films that it has terrible actors and a really questionable script and obviously shot on a handheld camera or something like that. It's not that.
It's shot well. It has, for the most part, a reputable cast. The effects, it's not computer CGI, not that bad. The CGI, does look like trash though. So I mean,
some of the special effects are a little overdone.
So it's a competently made film, but like I said, it all falls apart just because the premise and story overall is just stupid and trash.
I think that the biggest issue with the film is its storyline, because it doesn't have a lot going for it. I would go so far as to call this film boring throughout. It does have
you don't like my word.
What?
I texted you, Mr. English Major? It's banal.
It is. It just doesn't have a lot going for it. Where you have to follow Jamie King's character, who is set up to have a backstory about a traumatic experience with her her dead husband, who she's having a difficult time at Christmas. That really goes nowhere. You have Donald Logue's character plays a Santa who really isn't even a suspect for very much throughout the movie and really doesn't get a lot of time on screen. And then you have
Bob Thornton be bad Santa, because that's basically what he's supposed to be. But just
Yeah.
have Bob Thornton, drunk off his tits, bitching about how when he's doing an interview for the box cutters, they're not talking about his music, they're talking about his acting.
And then you've got another weird looking guy who's playing another Santa Claus who, basically hates Christmas and has become the main suspect.
See, this is where the My Bloody Valentine cues come in. Not just because you have Jamie King, but she's got that cop role. You got that Santa that you're talking about. He used to work at the mill that's been closed down, kind of like the mine that's been closed down in My Bloody Valentine.
Exactly.
They were just beaten to the punch.
And you know what, too? They've really plain Janed Jamie King in this movie. They've really, really tried hard to dull her down a lot.
Gave her the Fargo hat, too. All she was, that's another thing they aped from. Fargo made her look like what is it,
Right.
Frances McDermott?
Yeah. The female cop.
Yeah, and hey, your buddy in the wood chipper?
Not only is that an issue where they've kind of taken from Fargo, because you can definitely see those ideas at play, but there's also a really cheesy scene where Jamie King goes into town. It's like she's been called in on Christmas Eve, goes into town, and she's walking through. They obviously have like a Santa, almost like a Santa convention going on in this town. She's walking through.
Maybe we're just godless, loving heathens here. When's our Christmas parade?
We do have a Christmas parade. We have one.
Yeah, I know, but when is it?
Like normally, like around the 12th or second week in December.
Yeah, not Christmas fucking Eve.
Right, that is true. You don't normally want to spend your Christmas holiday with everybody in the parade's like, I would rather be with family, but you know what?
After like 3 p.m. around here on any major holiday, I mean, we do live in a small town and small county, kind of reminiscent of this Wisconsin county. After like 3 p.m. on a major holiday or like an eve of a major holiday, fucking ghost town, even in like the big town areas.
Yeah, it's like quarantine time. Stay inside. And
who is having their fucking Santa parade on Christmas Eve? No one. This is fucking ridiculous. That right there is enough to throw the realism out the window.
That really turned you off after 15 minutes, huh? You were like, no.
It's stupid. Because it's just like, oh shit, what do we forgot we have a fucking Santa parade.
No one's having their Santa parade on Christmas Eve. That's just ridiculous.
It's stupid. That's poor planning. Though I do like how the mayor says, now I can't vote for who the best Santa is because I'll win one vote and then lose the rest.
What I was gonna say is, as Jamie King's getting into town, she's basically, this is obviously small town USA, so of course she's got to say hi to literally everybody in town.
Also, too, by the way, just like in Rambo, because it's the same thing as Rambo, just like, hi, how you doing? Local sheriff and shit. A sheriff rules over a county. Don't you have other patrolling to do? Apparently, this office is run by one dispatch girl, Ellen Wong, sheriff, and then like 3 or 4 deputies. What are you doing spending in town the entire time? You actually got the whole fucking county to patrol. Get out there and fucking do it.
No, they're just focusing on this one town.
Is this the only town in Cryer County? Cryer? Is that it? That's the only town, and the rest is just farm fields and shit. And like, oh, you don't have to go out to old Ed Barker's farm out there. Nothing's going on out there.
That's it. That's all they got to do.
Must be nice. Have one town.
Yeah. Easy enough, right? But this film is
the idea of fucking English Malcolm McDowell. Yes, in 1965, I won election for sheriff. I've been holding on to it since then.
But this film is filled with like those cheesy moments, and I know that the film is kind of deemed a comedy. At least
it's not.
It's to me, it doesn't feel like it's an intentional comedy. If that's what they were going for, it doesn't technically come off as they did it on purpose. It's more like I'm laughing at it when I really shouldn't be. The one scene that I can think of in particular, and you mentioned it before, is that axe throw with the Achilles heel wound that our mayor's hussy daughter sustains.
It's your boyfriend, one of the characters in Letterkenny. I had to look that up to see if he was or not, because he looks like one of the hockey players in Letterkenny. He's not. But he looks like.
But in that scene, there is a atrocious, egregious use of slow-mo.
Yes, the whole part is just
it's a over long slow-mo scene that's like entirely slow-mo, and it also stands out like a sore thumb because it's the only slow-mo scene in the film that it just feels really out of place.
I feel like they were testing like to see if they could do 3D.
And they eventually found out, no, we can't.
Because that's like the whole bit where it's kind of like, what's the whole Payday and My Bloody Valentine 3D? Like, the pickaxe coming out the street. Yeah. It's kind of what that whole scene plays like. So
yeah, that scene alone was, to me, just really stuck out as a really poor moment of decisions in this movie.
And listen. The mayor was right. His daughter was just like strutting around like Santa baby. Like where'd she get that outfit from? Hot Topic? Spencer's?
I don't know. Not only that though, there's that whole Mean Girls-esque singing scenario. Where they're all together singing for the town. Nice little caroling time on Christmas Eve.
Which also another thing about this film that's kind of fucked up is its time. It's all like taking place on Christmas Eve, but by that time it feels like it's 8 o'clock. And they're like, oh, we still got the parade and shit, and all this other going on.
This town really does Christmas up. It's a very very active town on Christmas Eve. No one really spends it with family. They're all out partying. But that whole sequence where they're doing the caroling and then that weirdo shows up and takes their picture and
not weirdo, he's the local reverend.
He is the local reverend. Also working for, what does he say? The Paris Journal? Something like that?
Parish?
Oh, Parish. Is that what he said? I thought he said Paris.
I don't know. I was just distracted by his really crappy clothed boob pictures. Like he's going to...
What he was doing was taking photos
of the girl
that were shameful to him, but yet not so far as to allow him to sin. That's my understanding of the.
My main issue is when they blend Protestantism and Catholicism into one. Like he's like half priest, half reverend. Pick one. What is he?
Yeah, that's another thing about some of these shitty remake style films from the OOs and stuff like that. They tend to always have one character that's like a hardcore
perv.
No, not a perv. I mean, in this case, yes, but no, someone who is hardcore religious to the point where like that becomes like a big theme of the movie is like the Catholicism is bad. Look at these people that are ruled by their religion. That had tended to happen a lot in the OOs in the 10s, where they would have a character like that and became part of the film's topic of discussion. And that happens in Silent Night for particularly no reason too. It kind of comes out of nowhere, that whole sequence with the with the I don't know what to call him, priest.
We see he's technically like a reverend. My point is just like pick one, because most Protestant preachers can marry and have sex.
Yeah, I didn't love that sequence because
that's what makes them different from Catholic priests and shit. But I mean,
I just felt like it was unnecessary for the film. It didn't need that secondary part about that whole fire and brimstone speech from the.
Oh, you didn't like
priest.
that, like Jerry Falwell? That's what makes it even funnier too. Is like him giving like an evangelical speech. Like it's like they're just trying to cram all like Christianity into that, as he's like sitting there, hellfire and brimstone, as he's preaching to an old woman and fucking Santa.
So, what did you think of the Santa backstory that we get?
Fucking stupid. Well, let me put it to you this way: who did you think was going to be the killer?
To be honest with you, by that point, I really didn't care. I did not care at all, who it was.
Well, again, true. But who are you putting betting money on? I had two. I had two people that I had betting money on.
I don't even know. I didn't even think. I would say I didn't even think about it. To be honest with you, I knew it was not going to be their suspect because that just
was too easy.
Yeah, it was too easy.
Having it be either Coke dealer Santa or Donald Logue Santa.
Coke dealer Santa.
I mean, that's what he was. That's why they call him Mr. Snow.
But yeah, you're right. Both of those were too obvious. It really couldn't have been Rob Reiner stand-in because we saw his face.
I see. I didn't think it was. I didn't think it was going to be Rob Reiner Santa, but I thought they might have Houdini'd it some way because they constantly showed him to be like looking slimmer. So I did have him because I thought it was either going to be Rob Reiner Santa or Jamie King's husband.
Okay. You thought Jamie King's husband was not dead and going to come back, and
because they might do something stupid like that because we don't know why he died or the circumstances of his apparent death.
I will say that it would make more sense than what we get because they bring that up as some sort of talking point for her, and then they never bring it up. They just want her to be the widowed sheriff
deputy.
And that's it. That's all they want. So they really wanted to have a character element that they didn't need to do any work with whatsoever. So it does feel like it's just kind of thrown in there. It's like they needed something.
We don't know how he died. We don't know what the circumstances are. It's just that she's sad and forlorn. Maybe he went off the rails last Christmas, and that's why she's like, I can't work Christmas.
Yeah, right, exactly. She basically, and she just says she can't work on Christmas because it's the first Christmas without him, and it just, it definitely feels shoehorned in, but I will say, too, that the entire story that Coke Santa gives us about, that murderous rampage on Christmas Eve.
Vietnam Santa.
Yeah, those are also shoehorned in, where it's, again, a giant exposition drop of here, have you heard this story about a crazy Santa? That
stupid though. Oh, what a terrible idea! What a terrible premise.
Would you have rather it just been the original film where it was just he had a traumatic experience on Christmas and
that triggers PTSD. Here they got to add, the husband found out that his wife was cheating on him or whatever the fuck, and he decided to build a fucking flamethrower and go Guadalcanal on him.
The building is so funny too because he's out in the garage, and
what a constructed flamethrower too. The army wasn't calling up hey, but that's
You are a perfect mechanical engineer. Thank you for designing a workable flamethrower out of parts in your garage.
Like, it's just so fucking stupid. And so, like, Sin City-esque, too. Like, just shitty, awful black and white montage.
Yeah, the only thing you get in color is the American flag.
It's literally a terrible Frank Miller fever dream right there.
Yeah, that is true.
It's like drunk Uncle Bruce Wayne from fucking Batman, The Dark Knight Returns, just like, except on Christmas. So, it's so stupid. Such a just like bad, awful written idea.
And then it ends up being the one that the film goes with.
Which is, like I said, this film would have been 1 billion times better if it was Jamie King's husband. That way, at least is attached to her as a character.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just thought that first of all, that story kind of came out of nowhere because it didn't really, it wasn't really relevant at the time. And so it just, I don't know, it just felt like it was just pushed into this plot. And then it ends up becoming the actual reason and the motive behind these murders. And it just...
We get to see young Rob Reiner, take out his father.
Yeah, to me, it was a really poorly done twist that... what my third money was on? It'd be like psychosis-ridden Tommy or whatever the fuck his name is from the first film. What do you mean, you...
Like, that's how they would connect it to the original films. You'd have...
okay, yeah.
You would have that.
They didn't end up going with that, but instead they wanted I guess they wanted something different, but I feel like they should have just stuck with the main idea of the original Silent Night, Deadly Night. That's fine. It obviously was not breaking any boundaries at the time either, but it was a fine enough motive because you don't really need a motive for a psychotic killer. What you want is a better plot surrounding it.
Well, here they try adding all that fucking character development, and it's just not there.
No, I agree. And I feel like that's another part of why the film is so boring too, is because a lot of the kills are really like it's all fodder. It's just stuff that happens.
He does kill off like almost everyone he meets.
Yeah, it's just, and it just feels so disconnected from a plot.
Like, how he didn't kill Ellen Wong off is beyond me, because she's the gossiper.
What did you think of that scene where he chases down the model through a tree lot, where the film is clearly not being shot in the winter in this Midwestern town?
It was there.
It felt overly long for the rest of the film because that scene was just so... It was like almost like they wanted to get their allotment. They had a contract of tits. The tits need to be on screen for 12 minutes.
Courtney Palm was like, all right, this is what you got. Have at it.
They need to be on screen for this long, and they needed to get their quota, and that's how I felt like that scene was, because it just goes on for so long.
How fortuitous for her too that she just happens to fall on a fucking bunch of garbage bags, like she's fucking Altair from Assassin's Creed. And then he's running through the town in broad daylight with a fucking axe, and no one's taking notice. Like, oh, that axe,
There goes a Santa who has an axe. Yeah, I don't know. All of it is very Very, very suspect in my eyes. And that's the ultimate reason why I just had a really hard time getting into Silent Night.
Hell, actually, that whole bit too, and the whole hotel, reminds me of My Bloody Valentine remake with the whole hotel bit there.
Right, with the at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm telling you, they just couldn't help themselves. It's the wrong remake.
What else did we talk about this movie? What do you think? What do you think of the Santa design? Obviously, they go in a different direction for this one.
The mask is stupid.
They try to give it a nice soulless look to it. You can barely see the eyes at some points.
It's just stupid. And the whole idea that this small town, small town, like 10,000 people, have like 500 people dressing up as Santa. It's just fucking stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I think it gives
the whole miserable Santa doing the bad Santa gimmick. Just, hey, you know what you're gonna get for Christmas, little kid? You ain't getting shit. It's pointless. Like what the fuck's the point of that? And she should have closed him down too. If he's being a miserable shit, like, all right, your permit's revoked. Bye, go. No, Donald Logue's like, no, I can do this.
Did he actually have a permit, or was it just a scribble on a page?
I don't know, but he said he had a permit, so you gotta take his word for it.
How about the
What did you overall think of Malcolm McDowell's performance?
I mean, he's definitely chewing scenery, but I liked seeing. I thought he was the most interesting part of Silent Night. Otherwise, I was like checking out most of the time. But when Malcolm McDowell's on,
like being a miserable bastard and just
absolutely, because I think he's having a little bit of fun with that.
And hating women, just being like, oh, don't fuck it up. You're fucking everything up. Stop fucking things up.
Yeah, I thought he was having a little bit of fun with that. I even liked, later on when the guy was basically like wishing him a Merry Christmas, and he said, "What do you think this is, like a karaoke bar or something like that?" I think he's having fun with it. I think even though he knows like the script isn't great, he's still having fun with it.
Do you think he's adding the dams and fucks after every word, or do you think that was in the script?
I don't really know. Maybe he's ad-libbing.
I mean,
I hope so.
What's to stop him from ad-libbing? He's fucking Caligula.
Yeah, you're right. What's to stop him? Because
a film we must do one day on this podcast.
Who's going to say to Malcolm McDowell, "Hey, can you not ad-lib?" They're basically just happy that he's there. Thanks for showing up. So what did you think of the callbacks to Silent Night, Deadly Night? There's a few.
It's few and far between, and the only one I can think of off the top of my head is like, go take out the garbage. What is this, garbage day?
Yep, there's that one. There's the one that where he's pushing her onto the like the horns, the deer horns.
Him saying when Donald Logue like slaps it, like fights him, like not nice,
Yeah, no.
Nice. That's one of the things about this film that's very disappointing. The fact that they didn't utilize there's no fan service. It's like so few and far between. It's like such a missed opportunity.
You wish it was more.
Yes, because like I said, what makes the original film so memorable is not just the premise, but the fact that it's campy as fuck and having fun with the idea. Here, it's taking itself super serial. So there's like the apparent moments of dark humor, or even dark humor. It's just like poor, screenwriting.
Yeah, I think
they could have had like the toy store in the background or some shit. They could have the fact they didn't fucking throw in Warm Side of the Door at any point.
Oh, that's what really got you.
Yeah, I mean that's a sin. That's a terrible sin.
At least I liked what they threw in there as a reference, but I do think they could have done a little bit more to, because for one thing, the film just doesn't really follow the original at all. So if you really didn't know much about Silent Night, Deadly Night,
There's no orphanage.
yeah, I mean, you just wouldn't, I guess, even know that this was a remake if you hadn't really seen much of that original, because there's not much to, besides the whole Killer Santa element. The rest is all different. It's barely a remake at all. And it's not like Silent Night, Deadly Night was the only film to do a Killer Santa. There were many films about Killer Santas, even in the 80s. So it's not like they had that market cornered or anything like that. You know, this could have been its own, and I guess that may be one reason why they decided to just call it Silent Night, to, I don't know, eschew any a specific relation to that other movie.
Then why make it?
Yeah, I agree. Overall, it was a tiring experience for me.
What did you think of the overall kills?
I would say, you know, despite the fact that they are somewhat bloody and obviously set pieces, Saw-like in their torture porn elements, I still feel like they were pretty boring. Especially thinking about the one where they killed that fake Killer Santa and shoot him in the head, Coke Santa. That whole head spurting blood was ridiculously over the top.
How'd you like the scythe to the balls of the pornographer?
I just don't think that, and part of it's the budget, but I didn't think that any of them were overly, spectacular.
They do cut for a lot of them. Like the one big money shot is when you get to see the axe pound into Donald Logue's head, and it's blow
Splatters up everywhere. Yeah,
but again, that's all. Like it's all the CGI effect, and it just looks pretty trashy.
Yeah, there was. I think that most of them were, they were okay, not super well done, not super memorable for whatever reason. There's that one where they kill the boyfriend and he basically just gets an axe to the back and stuff like that. Not a lot of those things are memorable. And I think part of the other problem is some of the scenes where those are being done, the camera work is intentionally like shaky, to try to create some sort of like suspense or tension. And I feel like that is a 2010s thing, or even a little bit earlier into 2000s, of having like intentional shaky cam. And that also sticks out as a poor decision on their part to have, that sort of thing in this movie, because it just, again, it brings the viewer out of the realism of the film for whatever reason. I know that its intention is to make it seem more realistic, like the camera's like running around shooting every shot and trying to get it the best they can in a shaky way, but I don't like that at all. One thing that I can say that I did like is the red and green lighting towards the end of the film when they're in the sheriff's office. I mean, I thought it was overdone and hammy, but I also can't say that I didn't like it. Throwing obviously some nods to Inferno and Suspiria
and Saw.
And Saw, but more so to those because the Saw films had, sort of like a
green tint.
Yeah, it was a green tint, but it wasn't, obviously intentionally green lighting. Whereas in this case, it was red and green specifically for, Christmas. So that stood out to me as a fairly good decision on their part to just like kind of go all in on the Christmas spirit there.
I think you're giving it too much credit to compare it to Suspiria and Inferno.
No, I definitely am. I'm not saying that the lighting was as artistic as Inferno.
Dario Argento flew on set for like 4 days, I guess. Very good, very good. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was that to that level, but it was certainly a nice little change up from the film's rather, drab palette from the rest of the film.
Again, it looks totally like My Bloody Valentine.
You're right.
It's inescapable.
Most of these films had the same type of lighting and cinematography, and they all kind of, if you put one scene of this movie into My Bloody Valentine, you probably wouldn't really be able to tell the difference.
It's interchangeable.
Yep. All right, so we've got to rate Silent Night, and on a scale of from 1 to 10 garage crafted flamethrowers, what would you give Silent Night?
I'll give it a 5. It's a competently made film. It doesn't look bad. It's not shot poorly. The kills are boring for the most part, but they're not poorly done. The effects for the most part are pretty good, except for the CGI. The cast is pretty good. I think Jamie King, she does all right. Malcolm McDowell is just chewing scenery the entire time. Delightful. Ellen Wong I would say Ellen Wong's probably the best here. She's actually really good and understated, even though she doesn't have that big of a role. But it's the premise overall just doesn't hold. The idea that they had to remake this film and then strip it down, make it gritty and realistic, and take it this new route of a fucking flamethrowing Vietnam Santa is just, it's fucking idiotic. It's stupid. It's poorly executed. The whole just concept behind the first film is ridiculous, stupid, but it's got its tongue in its cheek, which makes it endearing and charming. There's no charm to be found here. It's just a very pedantic and, as I said, banal film. Honestly, if it wasn't like a well-constructed film, like at least it's paced out kind of decently, and it is shot well. If it wasn't for that, this would be like a really like all-time bad film. But because it's competently made, that's what's kind of boosting it up, because it's not offensive to watch. It's only offensive to watch because it's so goddamn boring and so goddamn stupid and misses the point of the original entirely. And the fact that they didn't use warm side of the door at all in this film is a fucking travesty. You couldn't have them at a fucking like Sears and Roebuck and just have that playing in the background or something, or have it at the end credits. Come on. No, they had to have a fucking new metal song at the end. It's 2010.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I would give it probably a 4.5. I found it to be an extremely boring film, very difficult to get through. One of these slasher remakes where you've got, a small town sheriff, got to solve the mystery. There's a twist that's not really a twist. There's no real mystery to this murder or who the killer is, because you just don't care. It doesn't really matter who it is, and the film tries to give you some sort of context as to why he's murdering, but it just doesn't really matter. I would like them to go more of either the original route, where it was just like this guy's kind of gone off the rails, and he's almost a protagonist in the sense that you're initially rooting for him to not be crazy, and then it kind of goes downhill from there. Or go the Halloween route, where it's like it doesn't really matter who's behind the mask at all, and there's no mystery to who you're expecting to uncover there. It's more about what gets you to the end of the film and the final girl.
Listen, I hate to cut you off, but they would never be so clever to it doesn't matter who the Santa killer is. No, they got to cram that in.
No, I agree. I'm just saying, I wish that would have been more the case for this movie, because I think it would have at least added some degree of mystery to it. And in this case, with the film ending and giving you exactly the context you need to understand where the killer is coming from, and it makes it cheesier because, like you said, this PTSD flashback is so ridiculous in its scope that, now it doesn't work for the movie at all. It just seems so ridiculous. Yeah,
it's a terrible guy. It's just a terrible idea.
Anywhere but where they went would have been better.
Like I said, it would I think the best idea for the killer would have been to be Jamie King's husband. Because, again, they don't expound upon that at all. So, the whole fact that it's even tacked in there kind of makes me think that was an idea they had pitched around, but no, that'd be too stupid. Because there's no reason, otherwise, there's no reason to even have that be a part of the plot.
Exactly. It just doesn't. Married. Just doesn't matter.
Because it doesn't develop her character. It doesn't add anything to her character. It's just a bullet point. She was married, but her husband's dead. Why, we don't know. But apparently it was a traumatic enough death to where she's, still reeling from it.
In total, it doesn't do much. And they could have gone anywhere else, and I think it would have been better. But
it's just a misuse of Malcolm McDowell. You couldn't have a better idea for him, for God's sakes, except play Loomis, but be a bigger bastard. Play Loomis like you're gonna play him in Halloween 2. I like money, because that's basically what he's like in this. It's kind of like the small town sheriff. But speaking of some of the people who get killed in here, they get killed because they're naughty. Some of the people who get killed, though, for being naughty, what did they do? What did the mayor do besides smoke cigarettes?
He allows his daughter to be a tramp. That's what.
That he lied to his some of the people that he kills, does Malcolm McDowell get killed because he's just a shitty sheriff and an asshole? How about some of the deputies that get killed? What do they do that was so naughty? Why did that guy taking the trash out deserve to get a pickaxe or axe or whatever through the fucking eye? What did he do? What did Ellen Wong do besides spread gossip?
Yeah.
Is that why she's saved at the end? She's the one that doesn't die?
I don't know. I think we're thinking a little too much about this movie.
I know. Well, you kind of have to, because obviously the creators didn't.
All right.
These are the impertinent questions that the public must have answered. This is what fucking Comic-Con
that about does it for Silent Night. And we have finished our Silent Night, Deadly Night series run.
Which means, guess what, guys?
No
new episode next week. Podcast is finally over. We're riding off into that sunset. Our job is done. We done the thing. We done RoboCop the remake. We done all the Silent Nights. We're done. We can leave this mortal coil forever now.
That's not true. We're going to be back next week, and we're doing the Black Christmas remake, not Black Xmas with Michelle Trachtenberg. No, not that one. Although we do need to do that one at some point. No, we're doing Black Christmas from 2019, the one that we missed last year. We were unable to do 2019 Black Christmas.
We're doing that one?
No, we're doing...
I thought we were doing the other one. Because
we're doing the one that we missed, 2019 version.
No, not that one.
That's right.
Oh, so the Blumkins.
That's right. We are covering that one. We wanted to do this one last year. We weren't able to because we did not have it in our area, and so we missed it.
Not even playing in Albany.
Honestly, don't know. I don't know. I didn't. We were kind of busy, and my kids were just born, so there's a lot going on at the time. But and you know what? I love it.
You probably looked at him and said, "Way to go, you little shits!
I think we're in for a
John
treat
Saxon
because you know
film
what?
I always wanted to see."
A Saw alum is in this film. Guess who it is? No.
Costas Mandalore.
I don't know.
What's he up to?
No.
Donnie
No.
Wahlberg.
No.
Mark Wahlberg.
No.
Danny Glover.
No.
James Wan. Tobin Bell.
No.
Toby Hooper.
It is Carrie Elwes.
I don't know who.
Throwing it right back to the first one. Carrie Elwes is in this. Will he have his normal accent, or will he adopt, an American accent? What do you think?
That's the best part of him in Saw is him flipping code switching between
That's right.
American and his, English.
So
accent.
that's something to look out for. The other person that's in this that I love the name. I love to say it. Imogen Poots. Imogen Poots.
Who?
She's an actress, but
Who
I
the
just
hell
love
is
the
Imogen
last name
Poots?
Poots McGee. I'm gonna call her that on the show. Poots McGee. All right, so yes, we're doing Black Christmas from 2019 next week. Sure to be a. No, he's not.
Is John Saxon?
I don't know. That's a good question. Why wouldn't Blumhouse swing for that?
Why? Yeah. By the way, too, we also, because John Saxon passed this year, we still haven't done like a John Saxon tribute, which is you'll never live it down if you never do a John Saxon tribute.
All right, so we're doing Black Christmas 2019 next time. Definitely check it out. Sure to be a controversial take, I'm sure. We are on pretty much not well.
How was it received? Is it because Margot Kidder's not in it?
I don't think that really came into. I don't think that really.
Well, Margot Kidder is what holds Black Christmas up. She was Lois Lane, for God's sakes.
But we are on any podcasting app that you can think of. Subscribe and leave us a nice review. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/bloodandblackrum. We're on Twitter at bloodandblackrum. We have an email at bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com where you can write to us, let us know what you want us to cover on the show. And as always, you can donate to us on our Patreon page at patreon.com/bloodandblackrumpodcast. Helps us keep the podcast going, so whatever you can spare would be very much appreciated. Thank you for listening. We hope to see you back for our next episodes in the Festivus series, which is going to continue. That was it.
Well, I didn't know that was you. Usually say something, sign. Yeah. Take care.